Good morning, Oklahoma, and welcome to Cow-Calf Corner. This week's topic is cold weather, cold stress, managing cows, and managing calving season whenever we have some of those extreme cold snaps. And we just kind of take inventory of different things that we need to keep in mind as we've got another cold front that should hit us just within the next 48 hours after we tape today. We're going to live through some of these as we move forward here in the next couple months in Oklahoma. It's nothing we don't see year to year. But first, as I always say, if we're in calving season or we're getting ready for calving season, let's make sure that we've got inventory of all that stuff that we know we're going to potentially need during calving season. Last week we talked about the stages of parturition that are helpful in knowing when we might need to assist with a cow that's having a calf. But just thinking through everything from a cotton towel to maybe wrap a calf in, to our OB chains, our calf puller, maybe a teat cannula, some OB sleeves, some disinfectant. There's that list of 8 to 10 things that we've talked about having in a calving kit in past Cow-Calf Corners. And we want to make sure we know where that stuff is, maybe have it in a cooler and ready to go if and when we have to assist. Second thing we want to think of that's a really important part of that calving kit, but we're probably not going to keep it in that cooler, it's going to be somewhere in a freezer, is just colostrum. Colostrum is critical to get calves off to a good start and give them that passive immunity. Cold stress is potentially going to make calves a little more sluggish, and we want colostrum on hand. And if we're in question, we want to get colostrum into a calf as soon as possible after they're born. That is critical to get those immunoglobulins across the gut wall and into the bloodstream. So a feeding tube, a means to get that colostrum into a calf, is going to be very important to us. We know that calves, when they're born, they're basically leaving a temperature of about 101 to 102 degrees in the womb. Depending on how cold it is whenever they hit the ground, we know that's going to be a shock to their system. Nature equips those newborn calves with a certain amount of brown adipose tissue that they're going to burn to maintain body heat. But that being said, cold stress can still overtake them if it's cold enough, especially if we got snow, wet conditions, or anything like that. Some shelter, some windbreaks, maybe putting some bedding down. We're fortunate in Oklahoma. We are blessed with a pretty good environment to raise cattle in. Don't have a lot of calving barns, but any measures we can take in that way, and even just separating the first calf heifers from the mature cow herd that might need a little more assistance going through that process, could be pretty important in saving some of those newborn calves. Final thing that we address relative to cold stress is realize the impact it has on nutritional requirements of our cow herd, particularly in the form of energy. If we're thinking about that last trimester of pregnancy, we know that optimum or even a positive plane of nutrition is going to lead to less calving difficulty, quicker breed back on cows and heifers. But if we look at 32 degrees as a baseline, if conditions are dry, every degree of temperature Fahrenheit that we fall below that increases the cow's energy requirements by about 1%. So if we're looking at a cow that might need 10 pounds of TDN per day, when it's 32 degrees or above, if we drop that temperature down to say 12 degrees, 20% spike, that cow now needs about 12 pounds of energy or TDN a day. We further double that if we think about a wet hair coat in those cold conditions. It's been a couple weeks ago. We had that weekend where the front came in, but we'd had a warm day prior to it. Had a little bit of rain across Oklahoma. If we get those cows wet to the skin and then we drop that temperature, maybe add in a little wind chill on top of it, for every temperature, every degree Fahrenheit we are below 32, it's 2% that we increase that nutritional requirement for. And so wet hair coat, 12 degrees, we're now looking at 40% increase in energy that cow is going to need. So that same cow that needed 10 pounds of TDN a day is up to 14. So we want to feed accordingly, manage accordingly. We want to save all the calves we can. We want to shorten that breed back and reduce that stress to the extent possible. Nutrition management's a key part of that. Hope this helps. I hope all your calves are born on a nice, pleasant, dry day. And we thank you for joining us on Cow-Calf Corner.